Welcome to Every Step Podcast. I'm Christina Weston.
And I'm Judith Beck.
Every Step is the podcast where career and life meet.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Luke. We're here with Luke Farr today from the Luke Farr Show. And
Hey,
this
Luke.
is the last episode of the season for Headspace Havoc. So we're going to have a little bit of a therapy session, right, Luke?
I think Luke's volunteered for therapy, haven't you?
Sounds good to me. I'm outnumbered, but I'll do my best with two very educated women.
What's doing your head in? What's been doing your head in since we last spoke to you? You know, probably, I don't know, 10 episodes, 12 episodes ago. I don't know.
Yeah, it's been an interesting year for me mentally. Yeah, just I guess probably slipping in and out of a little bit of, I guess ever since sort of post-COVID and myself working predominantly at home and being very isolated there, yeah, just slipping into a little bit of, I guess, that isolation of, mental health rather by being isolated so much and not having that team culture and people around on a regular basis. So yeah, it's been quite a lonely year, I would say. But yeah, I've recognised it and been aware of it and taking steps to remedy it. But yeah, no, it has been quite interesting, and the mental health has definitely taken its toll. And I guess the moral of that story, though, is that we're all human and we need to be around other humans. We're not meant to be isolated and stuck in a cave.
That is exactly, and it's really interesting to hear more people coming out and saying, okay, we know work from home is kind of here to stay, but work from the office is also what we want. So this concept of hybrid, they're saying we want you in at least 3 days a week, and that's being echoed left, right, and centre for the exact reason that you mentioned, Luke. I think people are finding it challenging. Some people are really good in that environment. It depends on your personality type and the way you work. But most of us are social beings, and working from home the whole time is not great for a whole bunch of things, for a whole bunch of reasons.
Absolutely.
I think on our we spoke about this a little bit on our last episode about if you go into the office, even if you work 4 days a week, it's like 192 days that you will miss as an opportunity if you don't go into the office. And imagine taking those 192 days and filling them with opportunities. And what I mean by that is meeting people, hearing things, connecting, all those things that you can't do from your home office. You don't know where the opportunity is going to come from. It could come from riding the bus to work.
Absolutely. Yeah, good point. I'd like to get stats on that, actually. That'd be interesting to research, though, around the productivity levels based on job types and functions. You know, so if we were to just take sort of C-suite execs, right, who are very much back-to-back in meetings predominantly, if you look at their job role, versus, I guess, the likes of a software developer or someone that's the more on the execution side of things. I would hazard a guess that the software developer would be a little bit more productive from working from home because there's less distractions, and he's just executing.
She would be probably. Yeah, he or she would be work, but I mean, my view is this is like a 20-year-old, 30-year-old kind of issue where you're developing your career and your connections and things that by the time they get to the C-suites, they're probably late 30s, 40s, and they've hit the top of the general manager, managing director. There are some younger ones, but majority of the younger ones in their 20s and 30s, this is the time to connect. And even if you are a software person, unless you want to stay in that position the rest of your life, you got to go connect with the people. You got to go meet your manager.
There's more conversations now, Judith, to your point, where people are actually vocalizing and saying that they're worried there's going to be two streams of career paths, those that don't go into the office and get left behind, and those that are there. And we've talked about this before, those that are there, those that are visible, those that have the interactions, those that have those random sparks by the water cooler, that had the opportunities to talk to other senior people, get noticed, get recognized. They'll be fast-tracked, and the others have to work super hard. I mean, it's a bit different, Luke. You know, you're a consultant and we work for ourselves. We work from home as well. I think the consultant issue is probably a slightly different challenge, but still a challenge nonetheless. But if you're an employee, depending on your job title and the work that you do.
Yeah, but even as a consultant, you got to make new connections if you want that next gig.
Yeah,
That's exactly right.
absolutely.
And majority of them are coming, through Zoom. And look, I guess, that human interaction piece and through Zoom, yes, it can be done, but do you form as much of a quality relationship through Zoom or any digital platform? I would hazard and say no. We do need to sit in front of someone and receive all of those buying signals with the body language, et cetera, et cetera. But on that note, Judith, that you mentioned, that's quite interesting. So do you think it's actually more negatively detrimental, for the that next generation and the ones that are actually building their career to be isolated and working from home, as opposed to, are you saying the C-suite, they've already well established, they've already got their networks, and therefore Zoom meetings and all of that? She's now I'm in that category now. It sounds like I'm old. Is that what's going on here? So it's like it's okay because I'm 37 and I've already built it. But
Well, it's not that the C-suite doesn't need to continue to make connections, because they do, and they should be looking at making connections as well with the younger up-and-comer ones, because they're the future leaders. And so this is important for them to do that, but also they need to be role models for them. And so they shouldn't just be sitting at home going, okay, I've got it. But they have more flexibility. Let's face it, as you go up in your career, you get more flexibility because you can delegate more to other people, and and you have made a certain amount of connections. So you might be able to work from home more. But if I'm building and I'm going up that ladder, I'm not going to get those opportunities at home.
Yeah.
I got to be in front of, I'm going to work it. Like, it's kind of like they say, work the room. You work the room from your home office.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
And Luke, to your point about not being able to create intimacy through Zoom, I'm 100% behind you. Like we've been spending our last number of years doing all our meetings through Zoom. And last week we went to our first conference, flew from Victoria up to Brizzy and spent 2 days in a conference, and we met people that we'd never met in the real world. We'd had lots of Zoom meetings, and the transformation of the intimacy in the relationships was palpable. It was really, really noticeable. It was like we thought we had a good connection, but all of a sudden the intimacy shifted. And I'm not talking in a bad way, folks. I'm talking in a, we trust you more. Oh, we've eyeballed you. Oh, wow, you're as tall as me. Like a whole bunch of little things. But we walked away from that going, wow, how much better are our relationships now with these business people. And we can take things to a different level now with these people than we could have had we just continued to have those relationships through Zoom. So really
absolutely
important to get that balance right. So it was a really good wake-up call for us. We've been hiding in our little office for, how many years?
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting, isn't it? And it's when you especially because we were all in lockdown globally for a good 1 to 2 years, depending on where you lived. But sheesh, as soon as you just notice that difference, and that word palpable, when you just started to meet people face to face again, it was just that sort of energy rush, and you were just so invigorated, and it kind of just solidified the purpose and the reason as to why us humans do need to look each other in the eye and get to spend time face to face with each other.
And see the signs. Really important. It's pretty powerful to be able to see the signs. And I just wonder how difficult it must be for some of the younger ones who haven't had that experience to actually then get out there in the world and even how to just sort of address people. How to make that first connection, and it's got to be a different world in some cases.
Oh yeah, that's a good topic, Judith. I mean, I'm genuinely quite worried about this up and coming next generation, in the sense of I just think, man, ever since the implementation and deployment of social media, and you're just seeing so many people connected to their phones and not really understanding or knowing how to have a proper conversation with someone, and they're getting nervous and shy, and they're using their phone as a comfort zone, as a
As a
detracting, like
shield.
it's a shield. It absolutely is. It's almost like it's like the chink in their armor. It's their safety zone, you know. But what that's doing on the flip side so negatively is that they're just losing all of not only the opportunities in meeting with people, but like not building their emotional intelligence, or not building how to actually have a proper conversation with someone, how to interview properly, how to look people in the eye. Looking people in the eye for them would be very intimidating for them.
Yeah,
They'd
how to
rather
deal
look.
constructively with
Yeah.
criticism and having
Oh
difficult
yeah.
conversations, which is part of
Yeah.
human life. These are all really important communication skills, right?
That
100%.
interview process, that is a really interesting one, because
Mm.
um, going for an interview when you haven't had even kind of any kind of social interaction, or, you know, sort of the first time going into that process. And I read somewhere that that kids were taking their parents on interviews. Yes. And I'm thinking, you know what? That's kind of
That-
a
that
kill
is
Hang on,
my
so,
resilience. Sorry,
so
where's resilience? What's happening to resilience?
I guess in all fairness, that's the only reference check they've got to their first job. So they're bringing the, I can see the strategy. It's like, well, I'm bringing my referee to my first interview.
Oh my God, how
It's
embarrassing.
it's so embarrassing, doesn't it? It's absolutely shocking.
And how would a parent not know that that is not a good idea?
Yeah.
Like, you know, you'd kind of go, if your kid is that insecure, then you've got some work to do there.
Is
Who
this all
knows?
part of cotton wooling? Is this all part of the cotton wool generation where
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe they end up hiring the parent. They're like, "Wow, you're actually a great candidate for the role." Now that we've spoken to you, actually, yeah, sorry,
If you,
16.
if you want to sort of get a good, like, I think it's very interesting watching what's going on in the States with the election. I'm not going to get into
Yeah,
the,
please don't. It's doing my
Oh,
head in.
come on, go there. Jeez, I mean,
but if you,
Trump's winning, but look, did he frame those shootings as a sort of strategy? It's great PR once
I
again.
got 30 million views on Joe Rogan. I mean, that's amazing.
Did you
That
watch
is,
it? That is the most boring. I find, and I've watched them across the board. I watched them on Lex Friedman, Theo Vaughn, and now Rogan. And he is just such a simple Jane interview. Like he doesn't go deep, and he's a classic politician. Just doesn't go deep enough, surface level stuff. But gosh, it was and I thought Joe's well renowned at probing people, getting into the nitty gritty, having a very weighted opinion on things. But he was very calm and let Trump talk. But gosh, overall, I found that interview very, very plain and boring.
see, I thought it was, I listened to the whole thing too, but I thought it was more like, okay, they're just having a chat. Like they're just talking, like shooting the breeze. At least you kind of, Trump is what he is. You know, he is kind of like, you know who he is.
Yeah.
But when I look at from an interviewer's point of view, and I look at, and I think it's a lot people can learn, and we look at Kamala and the word salad situation, that the reality is that if she would just, when you ask a question as an interviewer, and people when they're listening to this, and I've interviewed thousands of C-suite people over the years, when you interview someone and you ask them a question, the first thing you need to do, and if you need some time to think about it, then you might repeat the question. Like, let's say I say, when you started in the position, what did it look like, as to opposed to what it looked like now? So that the person might go, okay, so when I started in the position, what it looked like as opposed to it looks like now, gives me a few seconds to think about it.
Time, yep.
But then what she should do is go, well, it was boom, 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 and now it's that. And then if she wants to word salad, talk about, I came from a middle class family and this, that, and the other thing, then you can word salad after that if you want to tell a story. But you don't tell your story first before you answer what the question was. Because what happens, people get bored and they go, that's not what, and people thinking you're not answering the question.
So we're just losing
Correct.
take politics out of it. Are we just losing completely the art of communication?
I
Like, are
think so.
we,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
are
we
we
are.
just
Yeah.
are we just becoming inarticulate beings that are scared to have an opinion, that are scared to talk about anything, that are scared to
Yeah.
say what we think?
Yeah.
because
Absolutely.
we're
Absolutely.
all horrified of being judged because we're busy judging, we're busy judging everybody else, and no one seems
Correct.
to be able to, no one anywhere seems to be able to put together a coherent sentence or a coherent, constructive
People are talking.
perspective.
People are talking at each other, not with each other. There's a big difference. Yeah.
Big. That's spot on.
No one's actively listening, and talking out. So they're talking to each other with their own agenda, right? So because most people listen with the intent to answer, they're not first actively listening and then corresponding based on the relevance of what's just come out of that recipient's mouth, right?
Yeah.
And you notice that with very, very good interviewers, great interviewers, great listeners, but they're pivoting and taking everything that's coming out there and keeping it relevant. But politicians don't do that very well at all.
They're
They've got their
trained.
policies and agenda and circle around it. And
well, that's why Trump's gotten in trouble so many times. He's not a politician, so he just has word blah, and whatever comes out of his mouth. But at least he.
And it is quite entertaining to watch because he'll just go on. He's like the best storyteller, really, but it's just so irrelevant to the question that's been asked.
Well, he does this thing he says called the weeds, and it's true.
Yeah.
Around and then he'll come back. And that's why I quite like the Joe Rogan one because
he talked about that in the Rogan, didn't he? Yeah, what do you call it again? He called it the weeds.
The weed.
The weed. That's right. Yeah.
But getting back to the interview thing, I mean, the reality is in an interview, if you answer the question, and then if you've got to support it with other stuff or be visual or whatever, that comes after you answer the question. Because what happens is that the interviewer then thinks, and the people listening, like I would always think, if someone didn't answer the question and they went off on a tangent, my first thing is you haven't done this. Or you don't know, or this or that achievement wasn't yours, or you didn't do this.
Yeah. But also, Judith, you would have been quite direct. You would have said, "Hey, look, you haven't actually answered the question yet." Like you just say, "Yeah, of course you would." Yeah, you don't just you don't play nice in that situation. You go, you actually technically haven't answered the question."
Why don't these interviewers do that? Why don't they just go, "That's not what I just asked you"?
Well, we all know the answer why. We all know the answer why, because they're paid to have a policy position. Their owners are their owners, and their owners have a policy perspective, and they will play according to whoever's being interviewed to drive their own policy, political agenda. And they won't go hardball on somebody if they want to make them look good because it suits the political agenda.
Yeah,
but it's so obvious. It's just so.
Yeah. It's so obvious, and it ruins your not only your reputation, but your well, I guess the one that's asked the question loses respect instantly for you because you're like, oh wow, you're obviously not a well-rounded human if you can't actually think on your feet and deliver an answer that might not necessarily be in your wheelhouse or your subject matter expertise area. And you just want to lean back into that. You go, oh, no, you do actually instantly lose respect. And you go, well, actually, you're not a well-rounded human that can think on their feet.
That's right. It always brings me back to the movie with Tom Cruise and what's his? I forgot the guy. You can't handle the question, or you can't.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, that was a good question. That was a good scene. What were you talking when you were chatting earlier actually about the Zoom meetings and how you two both flew over, got in a room with everyone? It actually reminded me just right now, like because Judith, you and I have known each other for I don't know, but through maybe 4 years. I think you came on the show like 4 years ago, but our relationship is only through Zoom. So that I just thought of that. I was like, that's fascinating. It's like, but
I've never met you in the 3D. I've never met you in the real world.
Yeah, but it's interesting. Yeah, and Christina, I've known you for probably only a year. Well, from this show as well. But
I'm really an avatar. I'm an avatar. I really have blonde hair and blue eyes.
I'm pretty sure all I know is that you used to live in. Oh no, you live in Tasmania, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I was in Launceston when we first met, I think.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. That's right. I know. It's not that you can't build a relationship, but
oh no, exactly. Yeah.
But it's sort of, and also I think this is kind of a different type of relationship. I'm not trying to get business from you, and you're not trying to get business from me.
Well, not yet anyway, Judith. Hang on. Yeah, well, maybe
Just
hang on.
wait,
Hang on.
just
Whoa,
wait.
whoa. Hang on. I'm just doing all my report building. It just takes me 5 years to then ask for the deal. Yeah, I've got a very compelling solution that I've been working on, Judith. For all it's all just I've just been doing R&D. You see.
Solution to which problem, Luke?
Yeah.
Hey, Christina and I were talking about customer service and about the world of customer service and how things have just changed. And I think so in some ways it can be an opportunity for some companies coming on board and others are losing business. And the example was basically, I took a little holiday with my husband not long ago, and every place we went into, first place we went into, we thought we'll have a drink. It's on the water. It looks like a nice place. It was actually a 5-star hotel. We thought we'll go in there. So we go into the lounge and they have the barcodes on the table. So we're sitting there thinking someone's going to come over and wait on us. Obviously, in this night, nobody comes. So my husband has to go up to the bar, and the guy goes, "Oh no, you've got to order by using the barcode on the table."
Oh, yes, I know. I mean, this is the world we're getting into. Just full of like robots are coming. That's just the start.
It was and the thing is, the wine for the glass of wine was still $18 a wine glass of wine. It was ridiculous. And you think, okay, we're getting no service. We have to wait up by the bar to if we want another one, because they offer the barcode, which takes all your information. So we felt uncomfortable about that. But as a result, because we're like, if we're going to go there and you're going to pay $18, come over and serve our table.
Correct. 100. I couldn't agree more. No, yeah, I agree. It's a sad state of affairs at the moment. And I think the key driver and purpose around it all, they're really ultimately trying to dumbify the nation. Because what's the byproduct of doing all that? No one's talking or communicating with each other. So therefore, there's no one's training or keeping up with learning how to just talk and be a human and build rapport and all of just those natural kind of core fundamental skills of being a human. It's like the technology has gone just a step too far now, and it's only going to get.
And then you've got robots. You've got robots that are being trained to do that kind of service, but you don't get that human interaction.
Exactly. Yeah, they're doing that over in China, Japan now. There's that, like, robots they've just inputted the set amount of answers, very limited. But
oh God, in China or in Japan, because we were in Japan in May, and we needed some more coffee pods. And so we all done for the coffee pods. And when the doorbell rang, it was a robot. You have to put the number in, and its little head opened, and there were the coffee pods. And then the robot goes, "Were you satisfied with the service?"
But that's kind of cool. That kind of makes sense, because when you're getting coffee pods, you don't really need to have an in-depth.
I think there's some menial tasks. There's definitely some menial tasks. But, to your point, Judith, when you're paying top dollar for a glass of wine and you're in a high-end hospitality environment, you expect something different. And I wonder if this is all just a factor of hospitality being in crisis because people aren't spending money and they're not going out. So everyone's cutting corners, but because they're cutting corners, people aren't going out because they're not getting the service. And then it becomes this vicious cycle of nobody gets their needs met and everybody's unhappy.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely.
I always want to talk. My husband said, he goes, "Well, I would have liked to have asked the waiter what's good, because it was all local kind of wine that we didn't know about. Well, what would you recommend? Or what would you, that type of thing." And even when we went for lunch to the other place, that was the same thing where you had to do the barcode. And so, like what are the specials? What are the, instead of we sat there like old, we sat there like old people going, looking on our phone.
And it sounded like you two were the only here. Like, did you book this out exclusively? It sounds like no one was around. Is that accurate?
Oh, the young ones knew. They were probably going, "Oh God, there's newbies. They don't know what to do."
What area were you in? Where were you?
Well, we were actually in Hobart.
Oh, you're in Hobart. Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, surely they would have had a New Zealand Chardonnay on the list. I mean, the best Chardonnay. Australians don't compete with our
Sauvignon
Chardonnay.
Blanc, aren't you known for Sauvignon Blancs and Pinots?
No, well, that was like 10 years ago, but now it's really trying to drive home our
Oh,
Chardonnay, out of the Hawke's Bay
okay.
region. Yeah, yeah. And
They
so,
all seem to be doing it, and it's kind of like, I think they lose business. I think they, because but they also lose custom. So there's nothing that's going to make me want to go back to a place like that. Like if I'm going there and I think the waiters and the waitresses are all like knowledgeable and nice, well, then that adds to that credibility of good service, good food, that type of thing.
Spot on, because it's the experience. You're not just paying for the wine, you're paying, or for the cup of coffee, you're paying for the experience. It's like with coffee shops when they go, "Hey, Judith, your usual," and and then they know you keep going back to that coffee shop, don't you? Where you're recognized, where you're seen, where somebody knows what you normally order, what you like.
100%. Same three core fundamentals of any great salesperson, because they've got to like you, trust you, and understand you, and it's the same in hospitality. I'm 9 times out of 10 more likely to go back to a hospitality venue where they like me, trust me, understand me, remember my name. Absolutely, that's the whole purpose of it. But I'm not going back to a joint that serves bloody Chardonnay and bloody Hobart if it's a robot, or if I need to jump on like bugger that.
In Japan, the rest of the place, every place else, I found the customer service and everything amazing.
Yeah.
Like amazing. Like they were just, like,
where were you? Were you in Tokyo?
Yeah, it was like
nice.
what it used to be years ago, kind of over, and even the airline, Air Japan and stuff. It was just amazing stuff. But
service, they pride themselves on service for sure, and also their attention to detail, the food and everything. Like they are absolute weapons when it comes to that. Their fashion as well, all of it's is meticulous the right word?
I hate to be so people always say this might be, but I noticed that like everywhere we went, the Japanese women and men were always dressed to the T. They looked just stunningly put together, and everything is so clean. Everything really clean, like everything's so clean, and somebody described it as organized chaos.
Organized chaos
because there's so many people, but you
get on and off trains like machines.
Oh yeah, well the bullet train, we went on that and it was just amazing, and you could literally leave your purse and go down somewhere and not worry that someone's going to steal it.
Correct. Yes, so different to New York, right? When you look at the comparison, I guess of just that sort of absolute hive of activity top centers, same with London, but they're so trustworthy, the Japanese.
Oh my God. It's interesting. There's a lot of things to learn from different cultures and what works and what doesn't. But if I was starting a business today, I would be focusing on the weaknesses that are happening. Like in other words, I would be looking at starting my business full on customer service, full on, like personalized, see you, so that it would be different than what they're doing. I would go the opposite and make a niche about, no, what? When you come to our business, you're going to know our people. We're going to talk to you, provide you with great customer service. The product has to be good, or the service has to be good, but the people behind it are going to do something different than everybody else is doing.
I've got a great example of that. When I lived in Toronto, there were this was almost 10 years ago. Cafes started to see, they were focusing in on that problem about people being on their phones too often. So there were cafes and bars doing the no phone policy. And it worked. It was so great.
Wow.
You had to put your little phone in a little basket, everyone in there. But what did it do? It forced people to have a humane conversation, and it was great.
Love it. That's right. You go opposite. You find out what, from a trend point of view, what are people missing? And that's what they're missing. It's kind of like I hate going, and I've talked about this before, going into a shop And if the person in that shop does not look up and acknowledge, I walk
Mm.
out.
Oh, nice. Oh, great. Wow. Well, that's sassy, Judith. That's sassy.
You know,
This is great.
try to go, where did you
I've just lost you immediately because of just one fundamental, just eye contact is all you were after. There was just no eye contact. You're like,
all I
I'm out
want-
of here.
Tough customer, our
Very,
I'm
Judith.
talking about these
very.
little dress shops.
Oh, Christina, that's a tough
No,
customer
but you
there.
don't,
Wow.
don't expect them to gash, but you just expect them that by the time that you walk around the shop, that they will acknowledge you and go, let me know. And all they have to do is say, how are you today? Let me know if you need any help. I don't want them to follow me around.
Sure. Yeah.
Acknowledge.
A bit of acknowledgement goes a long way. So how long do you give them, Judith? Do you do a little stop clock on as soon as you step foot in the joint and you're like, right, I'm giving them 30 seconds.
I walk around.
If they haven't come to me in 30, I'm out of here.
If I walk around and they don't even look up, you know, that's it. I'll go.
And that's a huge loss too, because you're searching for a $6,000 dress, aren't you? Wow. Sheesh. If only they knew. If only they knew.
I did have one of those moments in Melbourne one time when I was on Collins Street and I had this big function and I had one of the girls from the office with me and we were going and we looked okay, like we were dressed in suits and stuff. Anyway, I went into this little shop and they had everything in this little glass box, all where you have to get a key almost. And I just said, it was just a flower. It was just a flower that would go on a dress. And I said to the girl, oh, that flower right there, how much is it? And I swear to God, she goes, it's very expensive.
Well, you can't afford it. I've looked you up and down and you can't afford it, sweetheart.
Wow. I know. What a judgment. It's very expensive.
That was it. That was it, out that door. And then we did go shopping and I bought all this stuff. And the girl that I was with, she's going, oh, you need to walk by them and do the pretty woman. Big mistake.
Yeah. 2 bags in hand, hey, this is your loss. Yeah.
You're lost. But I thought, how condescending is that? I didn't ask you if it was very expensive. I asked you how much it was.
Correct. Pretty simple. Yeah, it's not hard to just deliver the price. Yeah. One thing I did find annoying about that, probably the only reason really, well, because I was single at the time and dating, but so you'd have to put your phone away upon entry. But if you're meeting a girl for a date, right, and she might have either got lost or wondering where it is exactly, and usually you just get out your phone and be able to reply, right? So you'd be sort of waiting there for ages, and then you're sitting there going, and then you'd have to go up to the manager and be like, "Can I just grab my phone? Yeah, she's running a little bit late, and I think she's low." And he'll be like, they were so strict. They'd be like, "Yeah, you can message her, but you just need to stand outside for a minute."
I gotta ask you because this is a good. What are the rules about the dating thing? Because
Oh, we're really pivoting today, ladies. Right? It didn't take us long. Only took us about half an hour to get into dating chat. Yeah, let's go. Let's talk about the dating apps too. Horrific.
If you ask someone out, okay, the rules are if you ask someone out for dinner,
Yeah.
do you pay or
wouldn't go straight into dinner straight away. It's more of a coffee or a thing because dinner's too long, you see. So it's
dinner's too risky. Dinner's way too risky when you don't know somebody.
Correct. Yep, very true. Yeah, you do a classic coffee or a drink. Yeah, and then just do it's just like a job interview. You do your first initial screening. And then you go, hey, I really clicked with this person and we got chemistry. Then it's going, right, I could go for a full, I mean, how long does an average meal cost when you go out? Or how long does it take, rather? It's about an hour to 2, isn't it, roughly? So, yeah.
And so after how many dates then, here's my interview hat on here. How many
Back into Judith's big consulting and we're trying to find a financial candidate for your firm. Right, go.
No, so then after how many dates would then you expect the other person to offer to pay for the lunch? Would it be nice for them to sort of go, okay, well, you've asked me out 2 or 3 times now, I'm going to offer to pay for this?
Yeah, the word that came out of your mouth there, which sticks to mind there, was the word expect. And so I don't expect anything. And I guess it's down to someone's ethics and morals. So, yeah, I guess as a man, it's always the classic. Yeah, I'll offer all the time. I'll play, but it is very, very refreshing and so amazing, and it makes us men feel very great when the woman just offers to either go halves, or at one point she offers to pay the whole thing. I mean, that is very nice. I
That's
guess
true.
it's different though when you're full in a relationship and you're a proper partner. It's different when you're in the early stages of dating. And so
Yes.
when you're just getting to know each other, nowadays the culture is very much, and I've seen it change over the last 10 years, it's very much, it's a 50-50 offer type split, which is great, right? Because you don't both know each other, you're getting to know each other, and then that's great. But then there's other females and you can just tell that there is absolutely no way in hell that they're offering to pay 50-50, and they do expect the bloke. It's like, even when you're on the first date, they're like, well, the man's going to get this. And I always do the running joke. I do the classic, like, oh shit, I forgot my wallet's at the office. Oh, what a bugger, just to wind them up a bit. And then they're like, really? And I'm like, oh yeah, you can afford to get it though, right? I'll just pay you back. And then I'm like, no, I did have it. I'm just checking.
I think it
But
would
you
be
see a lot of them go, hang on, in your
They
head,
must go ashen. They
hang on,
must.
have they taken their wallet out, or are they just out for a bloody free lunch?
Oh,
Yeah.
that is fun. I think it'd be very hard. I think it'd be very hard for guys these days to know what to do and what not to do, because that you see all these things on social media and stuff about, men feeling like emasculated, and they don't know if they're supposed to open a door for someone, if someone's going to get mad because they've opened the door. Don't you think I can open up a door myself? That kind
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
gentle things, yeah, because we would love that. And
Yeah. Yeah,
but
chivalry's dead. I don't know. That's a great topic, Judith. Like chivalry for this generation coming through, I don't think they know the meaning of the word.
Yeah, how do you spell
Um,
that? How do you spell that?
yeah, they would. Yeah, and they would. I would. I really, if you were to ask women between the age of 20 to 30 these days, when they last experienced chivalry during their dating experience, it's just not there, sadly, anymore.
ah,
I'm 37. I still do it. It happens naturally. I was brought up that way from mum and dad, and I will just continue to do it. And it's not out of a see. This is the difference, eh? When men actually have to like think about it, and they go, oh yes, the chivalry part. That's right. I've got to do this, this, this. It's like it should happen by default. If you were trained well growing up, it should come naturally to you. And I guess the men that do it as sort of like a robot, it would feel that way for a woman too. It's like, oh, you're only doing that for brownie points, so you're doing it for all the wrong reasons. I think.
and it's just being polite and being kind, and then
Exactly. It's just
and
good
not
manners.
It's just good manners. Yeah. We're overcomplicating. It's pretty simple stuff. It is just good manners.
Like
and she
I'd open the door for an older person. Like I would, like
Yeah,
forget about gender for a moment. You
yeah.
just look out for people, right?
Correct. And that's a good point too. That's one of my pet peeves. If I'm, not that I catch public transport too often, but if I'm traveling and if I see the younger generation not offer this, so if a 90-year-old or an elderly comes onto the public transport and if they don't offer their seat for them, I really am just like, oh, it angers me a lot. And I mean, I've been in situations where I've literally on public transport gone over to the young kid, be like, you need to get off your seat. This woman is 80, 90, or even a man too. And
Yeah.
I say, get
There's
it.
an
And I
elderly
say, well,
person
I'm going to
here.
do it. But I said, man, I'm giving you a little lesson there. But look, especially when you're in public, who am I to tell someone what to do, right?
How
But
did that go down when you did that, Luke?
yeah, not too well. Certain scenarios where they're just young and they just don't even know, and they go, "Oh, what are you talking?" They get all defensive, and
they get
and
all
then
defensive.
they get into an argument. But all I'll just say to them, I still instill the value to them. I'm like, they are old, you are young. It's harder for them to stand for a prolonged period of time, and you're young and youthful, and you need to get off your seat right now, like for them. And so try to just break it down as simply as possible, the most simple words, right? So,
It's that
but
respect thing, isn't it? Being
Gonna
taught
yeah.
that.
say it's just about respect, and I think that's something that I think we're losing connection with.
Oh yeah, we've lost it. Sadly, very sadly, I don't think it's coming back.
Swings
Like
and
I
roundabouts.
realize,
I live in hope. I think
do we have faith?
we really need respect to get through some of the big issues that are happening all around the world. At the heart of it, a lot of it is just respect and understanding somebody else's perspective and empathy. And I think we've lost connection with a lot of that. We're too busy fighting our own agendas. We're all about me, me, me.
Do you think we were like that before COVID hit and then COVID just amplified it? Or was
Yeah,
it literally the long?
We were on the trajectory
do you
to
think we
me, me,
were
me already. I think we were on the
gotcha.
trajectory
Yeah.
to me, me, me. Yeah.
Yeah. And then COVID happened and that just absolutely solidified and amplified it, didn't it?
because that gave people so much time to be on the computer and being indoctrinated and influenced and watching things that they probably wouldn't have watched if they were busy doing other, I always say to my husband, we always talk about, retirees have more time to then think of, because he used to have a body corporate business, and it was always the retirees who would go,
Oh, you two not retired yet. Just want to make sure we're on the same
well,
page.
we are semi-retired, but we're
What's
in
retirement? What's retirement?
What is it? Yeah.
but they had more time to notice, right? So they'd call, there's leaves on the such and such, or this is happening. And anybody in the working full time would never have noticed the stuff that they noticed. It's kind of like I had this apartment or office in Melbourne. I never got involved with any of the body corporate stuff in that building because I didn't have time. But I knew there were people in that building who would have time. And so if something happened to the elevator or whatever, then, it usually got taken care of. But I never had time to go to a 4 o'clock body corporate meeting kind of thing. But the same with the internet, like
Your schedule was far too busy, was it, Judith?
4 o'clock, but
Too busy.
But it's kind of like with COVID, we had the time to be watching and looking at things online that we would never have looked at before COVID. And that kind of made us more aware. This is our last episode for this season, and Christina and I are literally going to have a 3-month break until February. And during that break, I'm going fishing, basically.
Gazing at your navel. We're going to do some navel gazing.
I'm going to be
Oh, you got to take that. There is worth its weight in gold for a little small meme. I love that. It's like a big, great long story, but then that punch like that. You know what? We're not back to February, and I'm going fishing. Oh, that's quality. That is absolutely quality.
I'm going to be off all social. I'm going to, because I'm just finishing doing a book, so I'll be finishing that and then recharging the batteries.
Oh, you're doing a new book?
Yeah.
The sequel to No Sex at Work.
No, totally different.
Totally different. What's the book about? Oh, you can't talk about it?
I won't talk about it now, but it's
So it's like usually it's pretty easy to ask you an open-ended question and you elaborate, but yeah, that's the first time I've seen you be like, nope, not talking about this. Wow. Oh, that's exciting. Very good. Hey, so how many episodes did you guys end up doing this year?
How many, Christina?
I don't know. I know we're at probably 60 something all up. We're at
it was
today, I think.
60 something, 63, 60 something all up. So we've I think most podcasts wind up after 3, 4, 5, 6. But we've made the 60 something.
Yeah, well, that's good. Congratulations. Yeah, it was definitely a loaded question for me to just have an opportunity to pitch about the Luke Farr Show and how many more episodes I've done. But
how many more episodes have you done?
Just kidding. Just kidding. I've been quite relaxed this year with it. No, it was the last COVID and those sort of 3 years after COVID, I was doing kind of 2 a week. But now I don't know, just a little bit more selective. Look, I'd love to do as many as I was doing, but I would be lucky to do 1 a month now.
Yeah.
And
something different this time too. We're going to switch it around so we don't get bored.
Yeah, well, that's the thing too, 100%. Yeah, and you two would notice that after a period there, the longer you do it, you really will start generating or getting guests on the show that you're very, very interested in, right? Rather than being like oh, I'm just going to just get anyone and everyone just to build the platform and build the
Spot on.
audience and build all those numbers. You know what I mean? It's like you start being like, oh no, I'm mindful of my own time and my energy, and I want to share this with a great guest that I really connect with and have chemistry with, and everyone's going to learn, and it's a sort of mutually beneficial
Spot on.
relationship. It's like I'm learning, I'm getting my own little things out of it. They're having a platform to share, and then the audience ultimately. So it's this great three-way, lovely, magical journey of everyone ultimately learning something is always my theme.
Yeah, absolutely. Spot on.
It's we decided that when we did this series, because we thought, okay, well, our husbands don't want to really hear it.
I knew that was the objective overall. This was purely for two of you just to get free therapy. It's a great solution, isn't it? Yeah, I started doing that. I was like, wow, this guest is actually, because I used to get like these clinical psychologists on, and I'm like, hang on, usually they charge me $300 an hour. I just got it for free. You two are smart women. I know. It's all making sense now.
How are we going to download?
This is a bit of downtime from the husbands. Gotcha.
You can download to each other. We'll bring a few of our friends in, and we'll have a good chat, and then we'll just, turn the episode off. Positive.
Oh, it's so good. You should do an episode. You should start off the year. You should both bring the husbands in and me, and then maybe, I don't know, Vanessa, who's the performance coach. That would be hilarious. The dynamics there would be quite funny. I don't think you'll get them over the line, though, will you?
Well, on that note, we better wrap it up. And Luke, thank you so much for being on this season.
Yeah, thanks for being a friend of the show. We've really enjoyed having you.
It's always good.
Thanks for asking me all the time.
We'll have to hear more about those dating exploits further.
Absolutely. No, thank you, ladies. I appreciate you always asking, and I've enjoyed the conversations throughout the year. So thanks all the time.
And have a wonderful Christmas and New Year, and we'll speak to you next year for sure.
Yeah, sounds good. All right. Well,
okay. Ciao.
See you. Bye.
For more information about Every Step and our guests, head to everysteppodcast.com. To be notified of new podcasts, please subscribe via your favourite listening platform. And of course, follow us on social media and direct message us to share your ideas about guests or topics.